All right, and we're live with episode 13 of The Expert and the Idiot. We're here today with Brandon Wheeler of Morelia House. And something I really want to talk to you about is keeping diamond pythons outside. That's
nice,
pretty
man.
Exciting. So
I'm still not entirely sure which one of us is the expert or the idiot, but
oh, trust me. You haven't heard me talk yet. You'll figure it out in like 10 minutes. So how long have you been keeping the diamonds outside? Is it a year-round thing? Are you moving them outside sometimes? How old were they when you put them outside?
So I got the cage like 3 years ago from a buddy of mine who used to have his iguana in it. And he moved and didn't know what to do with it. And I'm like, well, it looks great in my backyard. You know what I mean? Come on, bring it over. And at that point, I've had diamonds throughout my whole life. But at that point, I just had one adult male. And that was it. And he was, you know, I have no idea how old he is. He's got to be close to 20. And then the females are 20. At this point, so they're old. And so I got a pair of two females from another buddy of mine, Sean Bradley. He sent them over to me, and they were living in Iraq at his house, and he wasn't feeling good about it. He had them since they were babies, and they had just lived their life in Iraq. And he had reached a point to where he didn't have a male anyway, and he felt pretty guilty about just keeping them in V70 tubs. So he's like, dude, if they're going to live outside in your backyard, I let me send them to you, see what you can do. And, I want them to die in the sun and in the rain and not in these racks. So that was probably 2 years ago that he sent the females over, and they've been outside ever since. I do keep them outside year round. So every day, 365. The only exceptions would be when I feed. They have each their own kind of feeding enclosures in here. I have 3 4-footers that are 2 feet deep and 1 foot tall, which are fine to bring them in for feeding. So whenever it's time to feed, I'll bring 2 of them in and let them go ahead and eat here and then put them back outside. So, yeah.
Are they cohab together all year?
Yep.
That's so cool. What are the dimensions of the cage about?
It's 8 long, 4 deep, and 6 tall.
Awesome. That's what I'm kind of planning out. I'm looking at doing 8x4x8, but I want to kind of make it like a raised.
You know what? It's not 4 deep. It's 3 deep. It's 8 long, 3 deep, 6 tall.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right on. That's pretty awesome. So how many eggs did you get from them?
16.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how old did you say they are?
The girls are 20.
What the hell?
20. Yeah. They're old girls. And but she did great. 0 slugs, 16 eggs, laid them outside, brought them inside immediately. I'm doing artificial incubation, so I don't quite have the balls to let them maternally incubate outdoors. That would have been cool. Maybe one day I'll try it, but number one, I want to actually hatch the eggs. Don't get me wrong. I've done maternal incubation indoors multiple times with carpets, and a lot of times it goes great, but I've had it go really bad too. I've got stories that go both ways. And I was worried that if I didn't catch the eggs in time when they were hatching, that I might lose some if I let them hatch outside. So it just all directions pointed to bring them in and throw them in the incubator. So far, so good. There's 2 out of those 16 eggs that I don't know if they're going to go the distance. They're kind of in that like, might lose these 2 range. The other ones all look perfect. So we should do good. I forgot the exact date they were laid. I want to say I'm probably 3 weeks out from hatching though, give or take.
Wow. So Can you give me an example of when maternal incubation went bad, and then also when it went well? Like your best case and your worst case?
So not all moms are good moms. I mean, there's some great moms out there, and there's some bad moms out there. And snakes are like that too. So, sometimes they'll lay a clutch and the eggs will be scattered around, and maybe they'll only coil half of them. And some of them don't get coiled. Maybe they just don't do a good job thermal regulating and just aren't, putting that to task the way that they need to. Other times it's been my fault where I've had them maternally incubate in an enclosure that's on top of another enclosure. So that heat from the panel below, if that's where the eggs are at, I've had those accidentally probably cook eggs and overheat them, which would have been my fault, not theirs. But it sucks because that's just one of those lessons you kind of have to learn the hard way. You know what I mean? Like a lot of times these things sort of need to happen to you to learn to stop doing it. Yeah. Now there's, with all the podcasts, there's so much information out there. I mean, I hope that, a smart person can learn from other people, but the first time I maternally incubated is because I didn't have an incubator. I mean, what a better reason to do it than that, right? But I've had 100% hatch rates, and I've cooked them all and had nothing. And I've had 3 or 4 snakes hatch out of a clutch of 12. 9 hatch out of a clutch of 12. Kind of, had a pretty wide range. But now, doing maternally incubation, doing artificial incubation is just so accurate. Like you can have it dialed in so well that, that's not broke. That's working great. So the only reason now that I would do maternal incubation is just to say that I did it. And that's not a good enough reason for me to do it at this point, So
you've pretty much gotten away from doing maternal?
Yeah, I don't do it anymore. It was cool. I've maternally incubated Macklot's pythons multiple times with good success. Coastal carpets I've done, and Brettles carpets I've done. But I don't see me really doing it again with anything else in the future, unless being able to say that I did it outside would be cool. But it's so risky, man. I mean, I don't know. That's it's a pretty big risk.
Yeah, maybe with something not diamond pythons.
Maybe with something not diamond pythons. Exactly.
That is so. I mean, I'm blown away by the age of the animals. I was thinking that they were going to be like 6, 7, 8 years old. I didn't expect 20.
No, they're old. Yeah, I have no idea how old the male is. I got him as a full grown adult, well-seasoned male. And, that was probably 4 or 5 years ago when I got him. And, I mean, he hasn't grown an inch since, which tells me he was at least in his teens when I got him. So I have no idea.
How big are they? How big's your male?
They're all about 6 feet.
Okay.
Give or take. I don't feed my snakes a lot. He who has the largest carpet python does not win. Yeah. It's he who has the oldest. And occasionally the oldest and the biggest are the same. And if that's the case, then cool. Brownie points for you. You did it right. But I've just seen too many really big snakes die young, into their early teens that, we're way overfed. I see people doing feeding schedules to where they're feeding like once every other week, jumbo rats, pound them, which is cool if you're doing that seasonally and with purpose. So like, it's okay to feed heavy a couple of months a year if you're balancing that out the rest of the year, because that's going to be a natural progression that they're going to do in the wild. There's going to be a time of plenty where food is abundant. And mimicking that time is cool if you want to go boom, 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 and really hit them. But if you don't match that with a time of famine, then, you're setting yourself up for a really obese snake that's just not going to breed as well or live as long.
And when do you start when do you start getting them on that cycle of plenty and famine? When do you, at what age do you start doing that? Do you start doing that when they're 1 or 2 or?
2.
Okay.
2. The first year I feed pretty much weekly just to make sure that they're established, make sure that they're good, make sure that they're growing, and make sure that they have a good, healthy, size and food response, and boom, boom, boom for whoever's going to buy them, for any of them that I'm selling. So, it wouldn't make sense for me to really fast them the first year because my snakes aren't ever really ready to go until, December, January anyway. And I want to have everything ready to rock and roll for that shipping window in January. Otherwise, if I was going to kind of follow the rhythm of my room, then I wouldn't be feeding them until, late February, early March. Because my snakes do go through about a 5-month period where they barely eat at all. Maybe they'll eat 1 or 2 rats in that time frame just because I feel like it. But generally speaking, it's like 6 months on food, 6 months off. And with that time that's on food, I'm really only pumping them hard for maybe 3 months.
Okay. And so what's the frequency then? Every other week?
It totally depends on how I feel and what I'm doing and what the snakes are doing. If I'm in the room and everything is staring at me and I can't change waters because everything wants to eat and I'm getting struck at left and right, it's probably time to feed the snakes. But I try not to have a constant feeding schedule. It's very variable. I don't have a feeding day. Usually if I'm going to do it, it'll be a weekend, and it's going to depend on size, the time of year, all of it. I might feed half of the room every other week, but then I'll have another half of the room that it's like you get to eat in a month. It depends on a lot. I really feel like you need to be, Eric Burke says this a lot, be the student of the serpent. I know that was a quote he got from Eugene Bissett, and it's true. Pay attention to your animals, look at your animals, learn what they're looking for and what they need. And then you got to get into that vibe and that flow, and it's throw the schedule away. I have too much ADHD to worry about an exact feeding schedule.
Yeah. I remember, when I first got back into it, I was very schedule oriented because I have ADHD. Like, I feel like I'm either going to forget or do it too frequent or, whatever. But then, yeah, all of a sudden you're noticing like, all right, well, this snake's getting fat as hell, and that's not good, So then it's like, yeah, you just start reading their body and getting into that. That's something I feel like so many new keepers need to have put into their head, instead of reading a care guide or something that says once a week or every other week, and then they freak out when they don't eat,
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
maybe they couldn't eat for a little while,
Yeah. If I have a snake that doesn't eat, I'm like, all right, fine. I'll see you next month, dude. You know what I mean? Like, you don't get fed next week either. Show you starving. It's not a bad thing. It's really not a bad thing. You should occasionally be starving your pythons. They should be very hungry and hunting a lot. And then you're doing it right. If they're just sitting around being fat, not doing anything, then, I hate to tell you, you're missing something. You're missing something.
Yeah. So how many animals are you up to now?
As few as possible. I really don't want more than I have. And I try to kind of rotate through it to where if I'm bringing in new projects, I'm kind of making room and chipping out old ones. So I have about 40, not including babies, that are, not for sale, that are mine, that are being kept to breed and keep and whatever. And I really don't want that number to get that much higher because this is just what I can sustain. And it's what's working well for me up to this point. It's hard because you have babies every year and you want to keep holdbacks and, do you really need it? Do you really? It depends. I have a little bit of a different flow than a lot of successful people because I am unsuccessful. Uh, so I have kind of Noah's Ark syndrome. I don't have too much of really one thing. I have each little project. I like to have 4 or 5 of something if I can, and I just have kind of my groups of projects that I roll with. If I was just working on one specific thing, it would be a lot easier. But I'm not. I want to do a lot of different things. So space is at a premium.
I like that. I like that going through your Instagram and everything, you have a very eclectic bunch of animals. What are
Thank you.
some of your favorite projects? Like some of the things that you're most excited about, or things that are never going to leave your collection.
All right. So obviously the diamond pythons, that's fun. Being able to come outside and just look at them and appreciate them and notice their different like basking patterns and behaviors and just watch them naturally be snakes. That's probably the coolest thing for me right now. I love that. The newest thing that I'm geeking out on the most is emerald tree boas. So I'm working on building a small emerald army. I want to get right now I have 2 female northerns and 1 female basin, so I need a male northern and a male basin, and then that'll kind of polish off that group until I can get babies. So those are the next things I'll be purchasing in probably 2025 will be a male basin and a male northern. Breeding project, the one I'm the most passionate about is always has been and always will be jungle carpets. Jungle carpet was the first type of carpet python that I ever brought into my collection, and it'll be the last one to leave. So that beautiful black and yellow, just awesomeness that is a jungle carpet, that's kind of the ground floor for me, and everything else that I like has just branched off from there.
Hell yeah.
Moluccan pythons are a big one. Barneck scrubs are a big one. I really need to get those bred just because I really want it. That's my dog. So I really want to do it. Getting to raise these Moluccans has been fantastic. There's the first scrub python I ever had was a Moluccan python many, many years ago. And now I have some captive bred ones that I've been raising up. And they're probably 2 years out from me being ready to pair. But that's a project, obviously, I'm very excited about. I've been trying to breed Barnecks for the last 7 years, and I just suck at it and have failed over and over again miserably, and will not give up until it's done. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I am not a good scrub python breeder. I'm a very unsuccessful, failing scrub python breeder.
Well, at least you're humble.
I got one clutch like 4 years ago, and then that, I still have that pair, and they've been flipping me the bird ever since.
Really? Oh man, that's got to be so frustrating.
It is, dude. Yes, thank you for seeing that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm setting myself up for failure. I've got a reverse trio of Timor pythons, and I'm sure that those are just gonna drive me crazy in the future.
Yep. Absolutely. I almost bought some Timor pythons, and then I was like, bad. No.
Yeah.
Don't do that. I have room. I'm like, well, if I'm going to buy these, what am I going to sell? And I'm like, yeah, nothing. All right. No.
Yeah.
One day.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I said one day I'll get them. That's something I want on my list. But I'm 38 years young, so I have some time left. So I'll sort that out when I'm in my 60s or something. I'll do that later.
Hell yeah. Yeah, mine are all F1s. And so
nice.
my dream would be to produce F2s. I would love that.
Your F1s. Did you get the ones that Gourmet Rodent produced?
No, I got them all from Ryan.
Oh, excellent. All right, cool.
Yeah. I got 2 of his 23s, and then I found a 22 that was floating around out in the ether in a pet store.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's
Ryan, actually, he was over at my house a couple of weeks ago, man. Talk about just waiting to be judged. You know what I mean? Like you got like inviting Ryan Young into your freaking reptile room, like you're just waiting for it, you know. But it was.
You're
turned
like, what
out
do
to
you
be a
think
whole lot
about
of fun.
this? How dumb do you think this is over here?
No, I didn't ask. I wasn't opening myself up for criticism like that. No, he had fun and didn't give me shit, so I'm good.
Cool. That's awesome. I'm pretty obsessed right now with the jungle carpets too. And I've got 1.2 and I think I want to go out to like I don't know, 3.5 or 3.4. I don't know.
Oh, what do I have? Yeah, I have. Hold on. For the black and yellow stuff, I've got 3.3 right now.
Nice.
And then I've got the trio of ivories as well. So yeah, I have like 8 that are mine that aren't going anywhere. I'm sure I'll keep a hold back from this clutch that just hatched. I just haven't picked one out yet. I'll keep a girl.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna have to maybe get one from you because I've got 3 and I'm gonna need 4 more. So I'm looking forward to everything that's popping out of eggs right now this season.
Nice.
I actually plan on
they're just out and starting eating, so we're getting there.
Nice. I plan on keeping 1.2 outside and then 2.2 inside.
Oh, you're playing the outdoor game. You live in Florida, that's right.
Yeah. So I'm excited to try that out, and I figured it would be really cool if I had a group that was indoors and a group that was outdoors, and then I could compare differences in their behavior and all that.
Do you want you to do diamonds instead if you're going outside?
I want to, but that's so much money sitting out in my backyard. It scares me.
I mean, yeah, it'll suck if you get robbed. I mean, that's all bad. I get the fear. Believe me, as someone who does have diamond pythons in my backyard, I get it. My dog will fucking eat you, and I will shoot you if you come into my backyard. You are not welcome here, and he is trained to kill. He's gonna go straight for your neck. So you stay out of my house. But no, bro, seriously, they're so much better suited for it. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm sure you could pull off jungles in your backyard, but diamonds are so bulletproof. Or at least do brettles. If you're not going to do diamonds in your yard, do brettles.
Okay.
Because they've got pretty much the same temperature parameters and survival rate, and they're just as bulletproof. I mean, they can get even hotter than diamonds can, and they can get just as cold. So if you're gonna do outdoors, I would do one of those 2 species. You're probably your most likely chance of success.
So what's your threshold for temperature? Where what are your where you're at? What's your lowest low and what's your highest high?
It got 40 here a lot this winter. I have in my outdoor enclosure, I have a large kind of husky tote that's got a radiant heat panel screwed to the top of it that's on a herpstat. So I have that set for 50 degrees as the nighttime low. And then during the winter, I have it set to like 84 during the day, just as supplemental heat, just in case. If my enclosure was in the ideal position in my yard, I wouldn't have that at all. But I have a problem with too much shade. So there's some really large trees that I can't get rid of that block the sun for a good portion of the day during the winter. So they just can't really get an optimal basking position other than maybe for like an hour and a half a day. They're getting direct sun in the winter time. So to balance that out, I did that. I set that up with the heat panel just to make sure that I'm good. And I don't know, just in case.
Yeah, that's my concern. I mean, we can get into the high 30s at night during the winter where I'm at. So I'm thinking when I construct my cage, which will be probably 2 years in the future with how young my animals are now, or whatever I get is probably going to be young, and then I'll grow it up. But I'm probably going to do some sort of a wood box with another box above it with some sort of a heating element in it, and maybe, you know, some kind of a herpstat or something in there to control the temperature. And then they've just, so how often do yours go into that tub? How often do you see them utilizing it? Is it rare, or is it just, are they in and out of there all the time?
They're in and out of there all the time. During the winter, they're in there a lot. During the summer, they're in there a lot less.
Okay.
So, you know, like right now, my male, he spends the majority of his day up in like a hollowed out cork round that I've got that's really big that he likes, and that's, you know, up top. So he hangs out in there the majority of the time, and then the females tend to hang out in the heated box. They all come out and bask during the day, but at night, if they're not hunting, that's usually where you'll find them.
Nice. Yeah, I was just talking with Ron St. Pierre about keeping animals outside, and it's going to be two episodes in a row talking about animals being kept outside. It's like my new thing is like, man, there's not enough room in the house for all these snakes, so I'm going to have to start moving outside.
Right. It's rewarding, man. I mean, I like just sitting there and looking at them, honestly. Like, I like walking out in the morning, and I can catch them kind of at the right time to where they'll leave the box and go up to perch and get their sunshine for the day. And, you know, watching them kind of retreat, you know, back into their hides, or, you know, come and drink out of the pond, is pretty cool. I find the pond is clutch. If I didn't have the pond, I think I would hate it. It would be a lot of work, but having a pond that's filtered and, you know, running with a waterfall, definitely the way to go.
So they have a pond in their enclosure that's their water source.
Yeah. They've got like a 60-gallon pond. Like, I got one of those big plastic Home Depot ponds, you know what I mean, that you can just kind of set in, and then did kind of a makeshift do-it-yourself filter out of just some filter media and some ABS pipe, you know, with a pump, and it does good. I mean, I still change the water out like once a week. I'll go in and, you know, dump all the water out of it and get everything nice and stirred up, and, you know, make sure I can kind of keep it as clean as possible. But once every week, maybe once, I guess I'll do a full water change like once every 3 weeks on it, but I'll top it off, you know, like once every 5 or 6 days.
Nice. Now, do you miss them, or do you have like a sprinkler set up or anything to get them to just hydrate everything, or?
No, I mean, I hit them with a hose.
Okay.
I just go out with a hose and just spray the hell out of it.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't do that. You know, I just do that whenever I change the water.
Okay. Do you plan on keeping anything else outdoors, or do you think it's just going to be the diamonds?
Not in this house. If we ever get into a position in the future where I buy a house that has bigger yard with more property, then I have an idea that I would like to come to pass. And eventually I'm sure I'll do it. You know, I have time. I doubt I'll live here forever. And what I want to do eventually is come here, stop barking. Come here. Is eventually have
everybody your security system.
Yeah, just a good boy. That's a good boy.
Oh,
anyway, so what I'll probably do is have a outdoor snake building, and then I want to do a whole bunch of windows on that building and do custom cages both inside and outside, so that they can have basically like a dog door system where they can go outside and be in their enclosures and bask outside, but then come inside as well and do an indoor environment, which is what a lot of, you know, there's some zoos that have done stuff like that I think is really cool. And then Quetzal Dwyer owns a zoo, and I think it's, Puerto Rico? And he bred Bolin's pythons like that. He has his Bolin's pythons in an indoor enclosure with a passage to go outside, and they have an option for an outdoor enclosure as well. And he was successful getting a Bolin's clutch that way. And as soon as I heard that, I immediately decided that at some point in my life I have to do it. So that's on the to-do list.
That sounds pretty awesome.
We'll see. We'll get there, man. Goals. Gotta have goals.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we're on a half acre, and I keep thinking, man, it'd be awesome to put up a building, because once you got a building, then you got all the space you need.
Yep. Right now I have 2 reptile rooms, this one and the one upstairs. And I try to give my animals as much space as I can give them. Which is, it's kind of a fine line to draw between how much room you have, how many animals you have, and how much space each animal gets. You know, there's a decision that needs to be made there. And, you know, with the amount of space that I have, I could easily keep 3 times as many animals if I kept all my stuff in smaller enclosures. But I don't really do the rack thing unless we're talking about babies and yearlings. So my adults are all in, you know, enclosures that are lit with heat panels that are, you know, displayed with branches and perching and all that kind of stuff. And so, you know, if I'm going to expand ever, then I either need to buy a new house or sacrifice cage size, which is something I'm not willing to do. I used to keep a lot of stuff in racks and then have spent a lot of time growing out of that. So I don't see myself returning that direction.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And that's what's so cool about keeping outside. From a cost perspective, building an outdoor enclosure for a trio of animals that are cohabbed year round is so much more cost effective than buying 3 PVC cages and then providing all the lighting and heat for individual animals.
Yeah. And remember, I still have PVC cages for them that are vacant in this room.
That's cool.
You know, or so, like, because you never know what's going to happen. You know, I need to have the space there if I ever need it.
Yeah.
So that kind of, I have to have the plan B. I have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, so I do. So you still have to do both.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, I mean, where I am and with the temperature drops and everything too, I was thinking about having some sort of a temporary enclosure system in the garage that could be wheeled in and out. But
yeah, that's what Ron does, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So that's where I got that idea from. There's a lot of different ways you can do it. But so with all your animals inside, do you provide UV or just lighting for daylight cycle?
I've toyed with UV. I have UV in my retic cage. And then I have some UV in some of the scrub cages. And you know, I have some with UV and some without. And I kind of just wanted to see if they cared. And I don't think they care. I don't see any difference in basking behavior at all from one light to another light. I don't think they can tell the difference or know the difference. I've heard countless people say otherwise. You know, pretty much everyone else that this question has been asked to on a podcast has been like, oh yeah, and they'll absolutely under the, you know, and I have not seen that with a couple of years of trying it. So I don't really think it matters. The main reason I'll have UV in any enclosures at this point is for plants. I like to have live plants in my cages, so I like to have pothos. They tend to, you know, enjoy the light. I don't think the snakes care.
So are you doing like a bioactive setup with the live plants? Or are they in pots, or are you putting it? Okay, so you got them in pots.
And, yeah. I don't have any snakes being kept bioactive, I guess, with the exception of the outdoor ones.
Okay.
But I have some frogs that are kept bioactive. You know, I'm not anti. I just for the snakes, I just go in and change stuff. My retic cage doesn't even have any bedding in it. There's a floor drain in there, so I can just hose it out. And then the emerald tree boas, I don't have any bedding in there either. They're on a rain system, so I just let it rain and you know, wipe the bottom of it out, which is great. And for everything else, I'm just using coconut husk. I like coconut husk a lot. It's after trying virtually every type of bedding that you can try. I like cocoa husk.
Yeah, same here. I use the chunks. I think I use the Gaps brand right now, and I love it.
I use whatever the hydro store is selling.
Oh, nice. That's a good idea.
Yeah, we've got a lot of hydroponic stores in California for growing, and they've got a they usually have a good stock on the coconut. So
Nice. I bet it's cheaper that way.
yep, same stuff too. The only difference is the bedding that you're going to get from a hydroponic store is going to be a little bit dustier than if you were to go with like a cocoa blocks from, Reptile or something like that. There is a difference in the premium coconut husk from the cheaper coconut husk. And basically the only difference is if you have like a strainer or something to where you can get all the dust out, now it's the same thing. So it's like one extra step is, straining out all the dust particles from your coconut.
Right on. When did you get into reptiles? How old were you?
Young. My mother bought me a ball python for my 11th birthday. After, was I 11? It was like 6th grade. Every time we would go past a pet store, I'd want to stop at it. Mom, pet store, mom, pet store, mom, pet store. And I was obsessed with Steve Irwin at the time. And I thought he was like the coolest guy on the planet. Still do, RIP. And yeah, so it started at 11 and it snowballed from there and it never stopped, man.
When did you start breeding?
When I was 19, I had my first carpet python clutch.
Wow. What kind of carpets?
So that was a joint pairing with me and my buddy Travis Johnson with Living Legless Reptiles. We both worked at a reptile shop at the time together. And it was my jungle carpet, or no, it was my Irian Jaya to his jungle carpet.
Hell yeah.
So just whatever, I had a boy, he had a girl. We put him in a cage. We got eggs. We hatched them. We were excited. And, at least one of those is still living. I know where it's at. So,
really,
yeah, I do still know one person that has one of those babies that's just had it as a pet this entire time.
That's so cool. It seems like a lot of people start off with hybrids, and I think it's exactly what you just said. People are curious and they want to try it, and it's like, I got this and you got that.
I was a kid, man. I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
This is MySpace days. We didn't even have Facebook groups yet.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I didn't know any better. I just wanted eggs, and I was excited. It was fun. I'm glad that I did it. I don't do pairings like that anymore. I'm a little more of a purist now, and I try to, there's a couple of things that are important to me, and one of those things is when my son is older, I want him to be able to go have a jungle carpet or buy a jungle carpet. I want the next generation to be able to have these things. And if we're just crossing whatever to whatever all the time to make whatever, then there's some things we're going to lose. I try to keep the integrity of the animals clean as best as I can. I don't see any benefit from doing the crosses really at all. I don't care about morphs anymore really at all. There's a couple that I like that I'm fond of. I have a few. I've produced a bunch, but it just doesn't get me going the same way that it used to. I'll take a really nice, clean, beautiful, normal type that's, trophy and perfect over whatever the new morph is any day of the week. I just don't care.
Yeah, same here. Same here. And it's like, if you get the morph animals, you can pay so much for them. And then 2 years later, they're like, I don't want to say useless because they're a living animal and whatnot, but their value is dropped significantly. Whereas a pure animal is going to maintain that.
Yeah, exactly. I love the zebra morph in jungle carpets. I do have multiple zebras, and I really only sell them for like $100 more than I sell the normal stuff.
Yeah.
If I've got a nice normal for 400 and I've got a zebra from the same clutch, I'll add $100 to the cost of the zebra. But
Yeah.
again, for me, I'm trying to make it better. I'm not producing zebras just to produce zebras. There's a specific thing I'm trying to do with selective breeding, and it's the selective breeding portion of that morph is what gets me excited about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So what are you chasing with your jungle carpet pythons? Do you like the yellow tipping? Do you like the super dark velvety blacks?
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
What are you going for?
So it depends on which project, because I have a couple. But I want that really clean bars, black and yellow striped out, really nice with just good banding. I like that a lot. And obviously I push for that. But then with the zebras, I like kind of again, like not the really tight together zebra pattern, but the more blocked out, really funky version to where the pieces almost look like a puzzle. And just really out there and wonky with the deep blacks and the bright yellows. Right now the zebra stuff that I have is beautiful, but the color is more of like a really, really light yellow instead of a really, really pure yellow. So
what kind of retic do you have?
So she's a pet. Her name's Peaches. Love her to death. She is a purple golden child, and she was a gift. And I don't want to breed her. I say that a lot. Maybe one day I'll borrow a male just to be able to say that I've bred retics, because I can't say that yet. But on the other hand, why do I want to breed retics? For what? What's the purpose? And I don't feel like there are enough people that can keep them well for me to justify making more of them, because there are so many of them out there right now, and they're so easily accessible that that market's kind of shot anyway. Unless you're doing something super specific and high end, and frankly, I just don't think I can house enough in a home that is worthy of having a retic. There's just not enough people willing to do it right. So I've got my one. She was a gift. I'll love her forever. She's a great pet. That's probably where I'm going to stay with it, though.
How do you keep her?
Well, right now I built an enclosure for her, which is something I've been working on for a really long time. She is in a 10-foot long, 5.5 feet deep, 5.5 foot tall setup with a 60-gallon pond that's got a waterfall, a lot of branches, multiple basking spots. Well, let me see if I can do this.
Yeah, I've seen it on Facebook. It's such a cool setup. Oh, that's awesome, dude. Yeah,
she's up on her branch right now, getting her morning sun. And then I'm not done with this yet. It'll change. The floor drain's cool though, so I can just come in here and spray this out whenever I want. Everything's been waterproofed with Pond Shield, and I'm just getting started. I got some Zoopoxy in the mail yesterday in order to go ahead and kind of do some sculpting, because right now where the pond is at is just sealed foam, but that's it. So I'll be adding to that, and I'm going to kind of sculpt it out. Not really for like a look design. Like I suck at art. I suck at sculpting. I really suck at that. But I want it to be solid and sloped kind of perfectly. There's a certain way that I want to do it to finish this off. So just got done getting the Zoopoxy. It'll probably be 2 weeks before I can put it down, but I think it'll be a long time before that enclosure is actually finished.
That's awesome. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'd have the patience for that. Because I've been watching you like slowly chip away at it, and it's like, man, that's got to take so much patience to slowly work on a project like that.
Yep, it's a labor of love, and that's why this is the pet. You know what I mean? Like, I have no intention on making more, which means it doesn't matter at all how much I spend on the enclosure. There will never be profit. There will only be enjoyment and fun. So I will dump as much money into this thing slowly over time as I need to until it's perfect. No.
That's so cool. So when did you renovate your? We were talking before the podcast. I kind of want to talk about it a little bit more. You said that where you're sitting right now, for anybody that can see, that was originally a crawl space.
Yeah. So when I bought the house, this was a dirt crawl space, and open all the way through from one side to the other. The wall wasn't there. Nothing was there. No concrete, no brick, no nothing. And came in, hired some guys to come excavate, and we dug about 1.5 feet deep, throughout, and made it flat. And then I measured it perfectly so that the beams I can clear them by about 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch. So it's custom built for my height to be able to walk around in here and not hit my head. Laid a 4-inch slab, and then I had some flooding problems, and whenever it would rain, this thing would flood down here and turn into a freaking pond. One winter it ended up with like 6 inches of water down here, up to the bottom of the enclosures, which was terrible. So I hired another crew to come back out and help me, and jackhammered up a bunch of the concrete and installed a sub pump. We had to dig down like 4.5 feet deep, install a sub pump, and then install floor drains throughout the whole thing. And it's when we were doing that is when I decided I wanted to build the retic enclosure. So we went ahead and ran it all over to where now is the retic cage, and then stubbed up some PVC to direct the pond to. So the pond, I've got a valve underneath it that I can just turn and dump it right into that sub pit and roll. So it's really easy to clean it out.
Dude, that's so cool. So you can just go in there and hose the whole thing down if you want.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's fun. It's cool. Dude, I've spent so much time on this.
Yeah. How high is the beam?
I am 5'7", so the beam's 7.5.
Okay.
Something like that, which again, same height as the cage, the retic cage. I've got about 1/4 inch of clearance.
Wow.
to walk in there. So yeah, everything is very much built for me specifically.
That's so cool. So when you want to go down into the into that reptile room, can you access it from the house, or do you go outside?
Go outside.
Okay.
Yeah, it's underneath my bedroom.
All right, right on. That's so cool. That is awesome. So, you said, how much longer do you have on your diamond eggs?
I need to go look. I want to say I'm 3 weeks out, though, give or take.
Okay.
Yeah. So, once those hatch, it will have been a pretty cool notch in my belt. Once the diamond pythons hatch, I will be able to officially say that I've bred every species and subspecies of carpet python that's available in the United States.
Oh, damn.
So that's been a long road. It's a goal I set for myself a long time ago, but this polishes it off. So, hey, no. So yeah, man, proud of myself for that. I don't pat myself on the back a lot, but I am now.
Yeah,
so,
you should.
Well, they got to hatch, man.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. And you said that there was 2 that look kind of iffy.
Yeah, there's 2 that might not go, but the rest of them should be fine.
What's your preferred food items? Do you just do rats and mice, or do you vary it up and do birds too?
Rats, mice, birds. Mostly rats and mice. I have had some issues of snakes getting stuck on birds. I used to feed birds a lot, but I've encountered multiple situations where they've struggled to get back on rats. Like for instance, my gelatin locality stuff, my female, She was on birds. She started out a mouser. I couldn't get her on rats. And then she went to birds and I couldn't get her on rats or mice. And then she laid a clutch. And then after she laid a clutch, I fed her a rat and she took it. And it took her fasting through the winter and laying a clutch of eggs and being freaking just starving. That snake hadn't had a meal in months and was absolutely ready. And she pounded a rat, no problem. And I will never give that snake a bird again. Absolutely not. Hell no. But I think that birds are a great tool to keep in your freezer. There's some babies that you might need some assistance from some birds in order to get starting. And, there's some stuff that if you have some mousers, typically you might not be able to switch a mouser to a rat, but you will be able to switch it to a quail or a chicken. So for that reason, it's important. And then also for the bigger snakes, chickens are great. So if my scrubs will eat chickens every once in a while. It's either chicken or rabbit, right, or pig. Those are your options. So I'll feed chickens to some of the bigger stuff.
What kind? Do you keep any lizards or just snakes?
Not anymore. I had a good run with monitors. I had two that I had for a really long time. One was a Nile monitor that I raised for about 7 years until, unfortunately, she passed away. I didn't know any better at the time, and she did not have a good place to lay eggs. So even though she was by herself, I didn't have a nest for her because at that time I didn't know I really needed one. And she ended up, I think, getting egg bound and died because she didn't have a good place to lay a clutch of eggs. And then I had a Melenus monitor, a yellow monitor for quite a few years as well. I just honestly, I'm so busy, and lizards are a lot more work than snakes are. Mm-hmm. And I'm kind of tapped out as far as what I can handle. So if I had monitors, I think it would just be too much for me to keep up with.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that's like Nick Mutton said when I had him on. It's pythons are the lazy man's pet, and the lizards are just a ton more work.
Yep, 100%.
I think I might get a blue tongue skink though. They're so cool. They're neat, and I was talking to Ron about it, and he said once they're adults, if you have like an adult male, they only need to eat once or twice a week, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, blue tongues are cool. They're a little slow and boring for me. I respect that everyone should have a different taste when it comes to reptiles, though. Like my stuff is not for everybody. Yeah. But I need a little bit of feisty. I need a little bit of attitude. I like confrontation when it comes to my keeping. And so I would have to go monitor if I was gonna get anything with 4 legs again. It's gotta be a monitor. Probably not.
Yeah. I've been thinking about doing a black dragon outside. I think that would be pretty sweet.
Yeah, it would be very sweet. It'd be very sweet. I hate how underrepresented Niles are. I really used to love mine, and everybody thinks that they're trash lizards, and they're not. And again, with me not wanting monitors because they're, like my girl, man, I used to get whipped in the face all the time. Just, like it was a battle every time you went into her enclosure, and complain about it. I will, but secretly, I really liked it.
How does your retech treat you? Is she pretty laid back?
She's a puppy. My 7-year-old can go in there and grab her right now and pull her off the perch with no problem at all.
Nice. That's cool.
Yeah, she's great. Peaches is definitely the family pet.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think it's good to have. I mean, yeah, if we got a skink, a blue tongue skink, it would be a family pet, something that the kids could, just sit and chill with.
Uh-huh.
But I've seen some of them pretty feisty too.
Blue tongues?
Yeah.
I like the display. They open up their mouth and they get all.
Oh yeah, it's so weird looking when they do that. What kind of frogs do you keep?
I have 2 red-eye tree frogs from Jay Summers, and then I have a giant monkey tree frog, which Jay also kind of set me up with. I think he actually got it from him. He was vending with somebody else that day. But yeah, so giant monkey tree frog and 2 red eyes.
Nice.
They're cool. I love frogs. I've always thought frogs were cool. I had frogs when I was a kid, and then I got rid of them, and I had frogs again, and I got rid of them, and now I have frogs, and I'll keep them now. They're my desk pets.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. They're fun to observe and everything.
Yeah. I don't know why I like them so much. I just do. I just think they're neat. That's my like thing that's neat.
Yeah. Do you have you ever kept the fire belly toads?
Negative. No. But there's blue ones now. What's up with that?
Are there really?
Dude, yeah, there are blue fire belly toads now. I think for like $1,000 a pop. I mean,
all right, I'll wait for that to come down.
Yeah, but there are blue fire belly toads. That has been created. That is a thing.
It's funny. So many of the things I had when I was a kid, I like want to keep again, and I had fire belly toads when I was a kid. And I just remember it like when they would call, it sounded like a little chihuahua off in the distance barking. And I always think that it would be fun to go back to keeping them. They were neat little guys. I got to check out the blue
100%.
ones. Yeah,
100%. It's fun. Well, and my wife thinks frogs are cool. So that's kind of the thing that we can do together. My wife was never a snake girl. She's super supportive and everything, but she doesn't get excited about it. But she does geek out on the frogs and get happy to look at them. And, that's just that's our little thing.
Yeah. Do you do any herping?
Not as much as I'd like to. I enjoy getting out. But in reality, maybe I'll go herping twice a year. Is all I can really muster, which sucks. I'd like to go more. If there was people out here that were going herping and wanted to invite me, I would go. It's just probably not going to be my idea. I'm not going to be the one starting it, but I'll go if anybody wants to go. I do have fun. Gone a lot. I've caught, there's a ton of great stuff to see out here in Southern California. We've got some great king snakes and rosy boas and, a variety of rattlesnakes and stuff. So, yeah, it's cool. Getting to find rosy boas in the wild. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I bet. I'm going to be going out to Washington here in a couple weeks, and I'm hoping we'll see some cool stuff out there.
Okay. Yeah, man.
We've got some cool stuff here in Florida and a lot of introduced things. Do you guys have a lot of introduced stuff in California? I mean, it seems like the weather there would be kind of perfect for things to take hold too, if they got out or were let loose.
I'm sure there's some that I'm unaware of, but the only thing that really pops into my head is turtles. We're overrun with red-eared sliders, and every single pond out here, has red-eared sliders. Which those are introduced, but that's about it. There's been rumors of a area where there's chameleons that used to exist in kind of the Anaheim area in Orange County, or kind of the Huntington area, Newport, that area. There's supposedly a group of veiled chameleons that have somehow survived over the years. But that's more legend than anything. I've never actually seen one of those myself. I just talked to a guy that found them. You know what I mean? So who knows if that's even true. But no, luckily, fortunately, it's not been a major issue that's come up out here. That's
good. Yeah, it's a big thing here in Florida. And, talking with Ron about it, he was saying that a lot of it was the probably the pet trade when things were getting imported into Florida. And it kind of makes sense because of where the animals were coming in at. And if they had trash animals, they were probably just throwing them out, just toss them into the woods, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense that it would be, individual animals getting out or being let loose by an individual keeper and then somebody else taking another of the same animal to the same spot.
No, yeah, it would have had to have been whole shipments.
Yeah.
That's the thing. People are releasing their snakes. I don't think that's it.
No.
At all. Never bought it.
And without a doubt, it happens, but it's not gonna cause a population that is exploding.
Have you gone hunting berms?
I will be. I will
Yeah, when
be.
you headed out there.
Uh, probably end of August, September, somewhere in there. I was just talking to a buddy this morning, ironically. So not hunting as in killing, but going out to see him. I can't kill a python. I can't do it. But
Yeah, I know.
I can definitely observe them,
Yeah. Well, legally, you don't have to kill it as long as you don't touch it, right? You got to touch. If you touch it, you're supposed to put it down. Correct? Is that the way it goes?
I'm gonna look into all that, so I'm on the up and up before I go out. I think from where we're going, which is going to be actually inside the park, you're not allowed to kill anything unless you're licensed to do so.
Oh,
Uh,
perfect.
yeah, so I think you have to report it. So I'm gonna look into all that and probably even reach out to FWC just to see. I'll be happy to tell them where we saw stuff. I don't have a problem with that. But yeah, I don't have the heart to kill a python. I love pythons too much.
Yeah, no, same thing. I would have a lot of fun finding them though.
Oh shit, yeah, I know. I'm so excited. I was talking to my buddy this morning, and he's got mad spots out there, and he was describing how he does it, and he said the last time he went out there, he saw 5 or 6 berms. So
Wow, really?
yeah, so well, collectively, I think all the times he's gone out there, but I think almost every time he goes out, he sees at least one. So
Wow, that's pretty prevalent, man. that's
yeah,
that's a lot, actually,
yeah.
if you think about it.
I
That
don't.
says something.
I don't think he's ever seen any monsters. They're all probably on the smaller side, but yeah, it's something I want to see. I want to see the Florida python. They're not going anywhere. They're part of the landscape now.
Yeah, that's permanent. There's if you're able to find one every time you randomly go out herping, then that is a very dug in and established species at this point. That is absolutely, there's nothing anyone can do about it.
Yeah, no, and I mean it's like us. We're here to stay. Humans are here. We're dug in.
Yeah.
If there was some omnipotent being that was watching us, they probably couldn't do anything to get rid of humans off of this landscape. We're here to stay.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. So have you done much breeding yourself? What do you where are you kind of at in your keeping adventures?
No, I'm a late bloomer. I haven't done any breeding. When I first kept, it was an eclectic just bunch of like one of everything, just anything that caught my eye, I would pick it up, and I was really intimidated by breeding. This was back in the early, well, maybe like the early mid 2000s, just before the teens, and I didn't have a whole lot of luck with the research front. I wasn't big into forums or anything, and I was a younger guy. I'm 34 now, and didn't have a lot of people around me that were really doing it either, that wanted to divulge in any information for breeding. So it wasn't anything that I ever got into. It was just kind of pick up whatever caught my eye, and then had to get rid of the reptile room once we had our second kid, and then now I've got my office here, which has been turned into a reptile room, and my wife knows how much I love them, and she's very tolerant. So we've expanded out into the formal dining area, which is now the formal snake area, and so yeah, it's
tolerant.
yeah.
My wife would not allow that.
Oh, really?
No. Hard no.
Well, see, she said if we get rid of this, we have this giant dining room table, and she's like, and we ate there maybe 3 times over the course of 4 years, and so it was like, if we get rid of this table and put a nice couch in here, you can have the whole other wall and put cages there. So yeah, that's the plan. And now there's just so much information and so many great people and resources to talk to, and yeah, it's a different world for sure.
My wife, that's been the main thing for her is she doesn't want people to know that we have animals in the house when they come to the house. They need to be able to be invisible. And then one day she came home and this diamond python cage was in the backyard. And she's like, what part of invisible don't you understand? And then I just kind of kept going. I don't think she talked to me for like a week, but now she thinks it's cool.
You should have been like, what part of Morelia house don't you understand?
Uh-huh. Yeah. She gets it. She knows. But yeah, that does occasionally become a fight.
That's hilarious because it's actually the opposite with me and my wife. I was like, yeah, I don't, if I want to have people over and I don't want anybody to know that we have a bunch of snakes, and she's like, you only live once, so you should do what makes you happy. And it's our house. It's not other people's houses. So we should just, more snake cages.
That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
No, you're that's so dangerous.
I know it is. It's bad. I keep buying stuff and I shouldn't be.
See, I have a balance, like my wife is like my hedge against things getting stupid.
Yeah. Yep. I know but she wants me to be able to breed and everything. And she knows that takes space, and man, do Argentine boas take up space. Cause I've got a female, and I literally just bought a pair that was born this year. So I have it in my head. Whenever I get a baby, I have it in my head like I need to know where these are going to expand out to, so it's, even though they're not there now, they're occupying the space in my mind. So
and being able to think a couple of years ahead like that is so important, man. And people really screw that up when they get into it and they're excited, and one snake becomes 2 snakes, and 3 becomes 4, and 4 becomes 5, and everything fits really well in the nice 16-quart tubs that you got, and then all of a sudden you need cages, but you don't just need 1 enclosure, you need 7. And it's, people get overwhelmed like that really easy. I see it all the time. I mean, we all do,
Yeah.
And being able to kind of have the foresight to plan what you're doing, keep with purpose, like have a freaking plan and a goal and a specific thing that you're trying to accomplish in mind, and stick to that, because I haven't done that so many times and it's really, been to my detriment and my downfall. And these are lessons you kind of have to learn.
Yeah. Yeah. That's such good advice. Cause when I first, I bought a poplin for just, I got excited, and it was like, oh man, Riley's got these sweet poplins, and I just got one, but I have no breeding plans for it or anything. So I'm just looking at him now and I'm like, what am I going to do with you? You're kind of here, you look nice, but I don't know if I'm going to get a female or not, so
yeah, you are.
Yeah, I probably will.
Yeah. It's exactly what you're going to do. You're going to get a female and find a spot. And that's cool. And I have 2 of a lot of things, that's okay as long as you have the room. You have a wife that lets you put cages in the living room, dude. You're good.
Yeah. No, I can't do cages in the living room. The formal dining area, I think that's my border. I'm not crossing that line. I think that's the end of the road for me. But yeah,
there you go.
It's exciting. I'm really excited about the Timors. I'm super happy to have those and to be working with them. And being in Florida, I can't keep a retic, so that's my Florida friendly Malayo python. And I've got them, and the jungle carpets I'm just super excited about, because I'll see different animals from everybody and be like, oh man, this one's got the really nice yellow tipping, which I'm a big fan of. But then I'll look over at one of Curtin's animals, and I'll see the pure black banding, and then I want to go in that direction too. So it's like, yeah, I need to have a couple.
What about ivories?
That I don't. No, I can't. Are you working on ivories?
Ivory? Hold on one second.
Sure. Oh boy, he's got an ivory. Oh man.
So black and yellow is really cool, but black and white's pretty cool too.
Look at that. Wow. Yeah, and it's got like white tipping and the black, and yeah, that's bananas.
Yeah. So these are cool. So I like going this route. I like this project a lot. This is, all thanks to Nick Mutton, and before that Ryan started on this black and white jungle carpet adventure many years ago, and I had to hop in. So I have a trio now. I haven't produced any yet, but I do like the black and white.
How old is that one?
He's 3.
Okay.
Maybe 4. He might be 4. You 4? He might be 4.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So we'll give it a run this year, see what we can do. The girls are both definitely ready to rock and roll. This is the male. The girls are upstairs.
How much bigger are the females?
Probably another foot.
Okay.
Something like that.
Yeah.
People think carpet pythons have to be really big to breed. They really don't.
Oh, really?
You got a 4.5 foot carpet python that's about as big around as a silver dollar, and you're good to go.
Really?
Yep.
Nice. Now, what temperatures do you keep at? What's your ambient cool side? What's your hot spot? What do you keep at for like jungles?
So the thermostat is set under the heat panels to 86 during the day, and then I'll cut the heat off at like 4. And then I'll just kind of let it play the rhythm of the room. Usually I'll set my night drop to like 70, and it'll just be where it is. In reality, it's, mid 70s a lot at night, something like that. So stay to the mid to low 70s at night and bask up to about 86 during the day.
Nice. Yeah, that's so cool. I know. I was just admiring Nick's lineage chart for the ivories, and it's just bananas how many generations he has mapped out like that.
It's stupid. Yeah. It's cool.
Yeah, it's real cool. Man. So what else do you have down there?
Right now we've got the jungles, we've got the ivories, we got the Bredli, we've got rough scales.
What are you doing with roughies?
Raising them, they're beautiful, raising them, enjoying them, loving having them. And my girl is younger than my boy, so I still have a little bit of time. My female is probably just turning 3, so I've still got about another year or so before she's ready to rock and roll. The boy's like 5-6 years old, so he's solid, but I gotta get the girl old enough to pair. But they're great. I love rough scale pythons. I mean, what an underrated, cool, rare python. Just feeling them's fun, but it's like this really cool mix between a green tree and a carpet. You put those two things together, you pretty much get a rough scale, and the temperament on them's great. They're really easy. They're cool. Everyone should have one. Rough scale python. Long live brown snakes. Brown snakes are cool. Team Brown.
How many, speaking of brown snakes, how many pop ones do you have?
None
Oh,
right
really?
now. No, I have had a lot. I've had them for a long period of time. Produced probably 5 or 6 clutches of them over my time keeping. And then when I needed to build Peach's enclosure, the retic, there used to be 4-footers that was there, and I had to kind of make some decisions regarding holdbacks I wanted to keep, and I needed to do a bit of a shuffle. So I did move on the Poplin Carpet project.
Right on. Yeah, you have to kill your babies. Unfortunately, you have to figure out which ones are gonna stick around and everything.
Yeah. And Amazon tree boas, I have quite a few Amazon tree boas. I like them a lot. I've had a number of litters of Amazons and a pregnant female right now who's due to drop literally like now. There could be babies in there in any day now. But I really like Amazons. I think they're super underrated, super underappreciated. The variability of colors and patterns and the things that you can do with them. I mean, that is a project that is still really has a lot of potential left and is kind of in its youth, is different Amazon tree boa stuff. So I like those a lot. And then I have 4 different scrub python species that I maintain, and then one pair of some ball pythons, just a pair. They're actually my son's. And then I've got a pair of water pythons. I think that's it. Well, and the emeralds.
So how do you keep your Amazons?
2x2 enclosures, radiating heat panel, lots of branches, water bowl, spray them down about once a week.
No substrate, or do you do substrate?
Yeah, they have substrate because the Amazons, they're arboreal. I mean, don't get me wrong, like they spend a lot of time in branches, but they also do spend time on the ground. Mm-hmm. So yeah, they're in coconut husk.
What's their are they one of the, being arboreal, do they overheat easily? Is the heat panel set pretty low? What's your temperature settings for them?
No, I mean, they're pretty bulletproof. I hang on to them. They're like 85, 86 during the day. For that stuff at night, I just don't get it as cold. Everything kind of keeps that same daytime temp of 86 pretty much universally throughout my collection. But I will vary. So I don't really vary the daytime temperatures, but I vary the night drops. Every individual cage has its own heat, has its own herpstat probe. So the Amazon tree boas I'll take down to like 78, 79 at night, but I don't let them get much cooler than that.
Where do you place your probe for the herpstat?
Like 3 to 5 inches under the panel.
Okay.
So I'll put it directly behind the panel, about this far below it, basically at the elevation where I would expect the snake to actually be perching at, and then I'll put it there.
Right on. Have you temp gunned the diamond enclosure to get an idea of like what some of their basking temperatures are, or where they like, have you done any body heat temperatures to see what they're getting their body temperature up to?
Yeah, I've seen them up to the mid 90s.
Wow.
For sure. Yeah, I've seen them up to the mid 90s on purpose too, like basking.
Wow.
Yeah, no problem. But generally speaking, if it's really hot, they'll kind of seek shade. It's been a long time since I've been out there with it. And as far as the temp gun's concerned, I'm kind of unorganized. Do a lot of it by feel, do a lot of it by vibe, do a lot of it by just paying attention to the snakes. I don't own a scale to weigh snakes. Everyone's always asking me about what weight, do I do this at, and what weight do I do that at, and what are the feeders weigh that I have absolutely no freaking clue. The right size, the right, there's a feel, there's a vibe to it, and I do that. So I am not the sciencey guy with all the smart answers. That's for damn sure. But I had, if I need that, I just call Nick and I let him ramble for a half hour about whatever it is I'm curious about, and then move on. I'm good.
Nice. How's the diamond's temperament?
Oh, puppies, all of them. Yeah. All 3 of them are great. I've had, in my life, I've probably kept 10 diamond pythons, and I've only had one of them that was a biter. The other 9 were perfectly peaceful and chill, and the carpets are kind of the same. I don't know. I think people give a lot of these snakes a bad rap as far as attitude. But yeah, diamond pythons specifically, I find to be extremely placid snakes.
Yeah. Yeah, even that dude you're holding right now, he's totally chill.
Yeah, he's cool. I mean, he's a little head shy, you can.
Yeah.
And it's all, you kind of learn the flow. It's It's something you have to learn for yourself. You can't really be taught.
Yeah. Yeah, I have some young jungles right now, and it's like they don't bite me, but if I put my hand in front of their face, they might.
Yeah, you can talk them into it, right?
Yeah, and I mean, being head shy, you probably wouldn't like it if somebody came up to you and tried to poke you in the face either.
Exactly.
What kind of scrubs do you have? I know you said you had 4 different kinds. Do you have any Halmaheras?
No, no harm. So I have Southerns. I have the Walmina Jaya types, and then I've got Barnecks, and then I've got Malukans.
Yeah, breeding plans with all them.
Yeah, I have pairs of everything. Yeah, pairs
Nice.
of everything. So we'll see what hits, man. I'd love to get something out of all of them. Being able to run through those and get eggs out of each species would be pretty neat. Definitely kind of a long-term goal is, I want to right now work with what I've got and check the list off of what I have. And then, if I'm successful with what I have now and can get those notches in my belt, then in the years to come, I'll pick up the ones that I'm missing and run through those too.
Yeah. Do you keep any colubrids?
No, never have. Not a single one. No.
The what size enclosures do you keep your scrubs in?
So they're in 8x2x2s, the larger ones, with a little bit of an exception. My Southerns are in 6. They have a 6 long, 2 deep, 4 tall enclosure, and then on top of it, a 6 long, 2 deep, 2 tall that has a portal to be able to go from one enclosure to the other. So the males and the females can each go into each other's enclosure kind of whenever they want, as long as it's not feeding time. So each pair kind of shares 2 cages.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's sort of the route that I've been trying. It sounds like a great idea, but I just want to echo the fact that I've been very unsuccessful when it comes to breeding. So in no way, shape, or form am I saying that you need to do that and that'll work. It's just I like being able to do it. One of the things that I found interesting is how frequently they want to be in their own enclosures. If you're going to cohab, I do think this is probably the best way to cohab, is to give everything its own cage and then link them, because then you can get a really good feel for how often they really want nothing to do with each other versus when they're interested. Because in reality, these snakes are really only spending 5% of their time together. And usually it's when they're cruising at night or something. One will join the other cage and cruise around for a little bit and then go back up to its own enclosure. But during the daytime, really, really, really consistently, I can say that each snake would prefer to be in its own cage.
Are those portals open all the time, or is it just during breeding season?
I try different stuff. So, I don't think I've been consistent with any of that. I'll have one pair where it's open all the time and another pair where it's closed off. And, I'm trying different things because I haven't found the thing that's worked yet. But a lot of time they're definitely open.
Nice. What do you have any plans of keeping any larger boas or anything like that?
No. If I did, it would be anacondas.
Hmm.
And a very good buddy of mine, Tony Dwar, Revision Reptiles, has a large, gorgeous collection of yellow anacondas. That's probably the most variable collection of yellow anacondas in the United States that I'm aware of. And I just go to his house to play with them. I could bring some home from his house anytime I wanted to. He's certainly offered, but if I need anaconda time, I go spend it over at Tony's. But
That's
I would
awesome.
probably, if I was going to do it, I would get a pair from him. But again, it's space, dude.
Oh yeah.
I love what I have. I'm out of things that I want to get rid of. There's nothing I have left that I really don't want. So there has to be a there has to be some rational, there's got to be a stopping point somewhere.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And you'd probably want to set those up with a pond too, right?
Oh, absolutely, dude. I would
Yeah.
geek out. That's the problem. I mean, I'm not gonna put them in a freaking, big vision tub or some crap like that. And I'm not gonna put them in. No, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it right. I don't have enough space to do it right. That's why I only have one retic. It's just you can't. I don't know. There needs to be a moral value somewhere that matters.
Yeah. So what does your retic use the 60-gallon pond? Does she go in
Yeah,
there
she
a lot?
poops in it actually.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. She just got off her branch, and that's the thing, dude. She's super arboreal. She climbs all the time. That
Yeah,
snake
I
is
see her
never on the
moving
ground.
around.
Yeah, she's always up and doing stuff. I mean, she has an arboreal hide she can hang out in, which she does. She'll perch and bask, every time she wants to. And I've never seen her sit inside the pond, but I've definitely seen her go down and drink from it. And it's right under her perch spot. So the times that she's pooped in there so far, it's been 100% pooping in the pond. I don't know. It's okay. The only reason that bothers me is the way that I have the pump set up. I have to turn off the waterfall every time I drain it. You know what I mean? Because of how it's primed. So I need to like reprime the pump every time. So that's annoying. But other than that, it's fine. I appreciate the fact that I can just flush it down, wipe the tub out, keep it rolling. If she poops in there every day, so winning.
So, what size enclosures do you keep your jungles in?
4x2x2.
That's your standard.
4x2x2. I do have some 4x2x15s. I have some 4x2x12s. I have some 4x2x48s. I have it. I think I have every cage size that is that you can realistically get. I've got some 6 long, 30 deep, 18 talls. I got all of it.
A little bit of everything. Do you get all your cages from the same person?
No, I wish. That would have been cool. I tried that, and then he went out of business. There was a local cage maker that custom made a whole bunch of stuff so that it would perfectly fit down here. So all of this was made by one guy because I needed it to be like within an inch of what I needed. And, I have some other enclosures that are just kind of really funky cage sizes because I needed them to go in a specific spot. And he made cages for about a year, and then plastic got all crazy through COVID. So he got out of it.
That sucks. What's in the 4x2x4?
Zebra.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
she's old. She's the first snake I want to say she's the first snake I ever bought from Nick Mutton. Which makes her probably 15.
Wow.
Something like that. She's 14, 15-year-old snake at this point.
Does she still breed?
I haven't paired her for a long time because I've been waiting she will absolutely breed. There's nothing stopping her from breeding but me. But right now, the only males that I have are both her sons. So her boys that she produced are my current breeder males. And then one of those I bred to Juicy, a couple of times now. Then Juicy's unrelated from her. So I have a male holdback from that pairing that I'm going to raise up, and then I'll breed him to her. Because there's some different blood in there. I just didn't want to go straight son to mother, with the pairing. So I wanted there to be some different blood. So yeah, once Spy is old enough, Spy's a year old right now, so I've got some time. But once Spy is old enough to breed, I'll pair Spy to her and throw some of that juicy blood in the mix.
Hell yeah. What advice can you give me getting into my jungle carpet project?
Buy from people you like. support breeders that you're proud of. The snake is important. It's, you want a really pretty black and yellow snake, and a lot of us are putting out some really pretty black and yellow snakes. But when you get one, get it from someone to where you're going to be proud to say that you got this animal from this person and this animal from this person. And, have a diversity of stuff, from different breeders with different lineages to kind of pair together and vote with your dollar as far as where you're getting your snakes.
Hell yeah. Yeah. Right now I have Mike Curtin, Roy Stewart, and Nick Mutton. I'm sorry?
Nice. I said, love Mike.
Yeah.
Mike's so cool, man. Are you coming to Carpet Fest?
I want to.
Then do it.
Yeah, hell yeah, I want to. When is it?
September 14th.
All right. Yeah, I'm in the house. I'm in the group now on Facebook and everything, and yeah, I would love to go. That would be epic.
I kind of want to get an Airbnb instead of going the hotel route. I want to get like 10 of us and get an Airbnb.
Hell yeah.
Well, because Eric wants the party to stop at midnight, and I'm stubborn. So we need a place to throw the after party.
He wants it to stop at midnight because he'll be asleep at 10 like me.
We need an after party location. I feel like we should get an Airbnb.
Yeah, you're going to be and you're from Cali too, so your clock's going to be all messed up. Midnight for you is going to be 9 p.m.
I'm a professional. I'll survive.
That's awesome. Yeah, that are you going to Daytona? Do you ever go down to Daytona?
No, I will at some point. It's on the list of things that I'll eventually do. But if I did go, it would just be for fun. And lately I've had other things. Like this year, it would either be Carpet Fest or Daytona. I got to pick one.
Yeah.
And I haven't been to a Northeast Carpet Fest since before COVID. So it's time for me to go see those guys. There's a great group of East Coast breeders out there that I know will be there, and people I haven't seen for many years that I'm excited to reconnect with. And when I do go to reptile shows, it's more for people than it is for animals. Mm-hmm. Don't get me wrong, I love seeing all the animals, but if I'm going to be purchasing a snake at this point, I'm usually going to buy it. I'll know who I want to buy it from, and I'll know that the litter or the clutch is coming, and I'm having conversations with these people before the eggs are even hatched. Yeah. So that's all, I'm not going to go buy a carpet python from a reptile show. I'm just not. I'm much more intentional than that. So anyways, but when I do go, it's just because I want to see everybody. And, all of the different connections that I've made in the community and in the hobby over these years. And I, have so many lifelong friends at this point that all live at other different parts of the country and outside of the state. And, Carpet Fest is just that great moment to bring a whole bunch of us back together again. And I don't want to miss that.
Hell yeah. Yeah, that's exciting. And that's how I got put in contact with you, was through Travis. I just did an episode with him, and he was saying that you guys were up to shenanigans together when you guys were first getting into the hobby and everything. And that sounds like
dude, we have so many stories that are not okay to put on a podcast. I got dirt on Travis. Love it.
That's funny.
Love it. No, he's great. I've known Travis since he was 16. Known him a very long time.
Wow. Since that it doesn't go back much further than that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good.
Yeah, I definitely want to go to Carpet Fest. Daytona is easy for me. I can just drive up there. So I'm gonna drive up to Daytona, and yeah, hell yeah, I definitely want to go.
Well, Tony and I bought plane tickets to Carpet Fest like a month ago, so we're going. We're committed. Nice. Your Daytona is my Pomona. So I did Pomona. That was fun. Wife and I always have a good time. Doing the reptile shows, and But yeah, we're carpet festing it up for sure. I will get to Florida. Can I tell you something? I've never been to Florida.
Good for you.
Never been. One day I'll go there. Do you have any green trees by any chance?
No.
I got to do that too.
Yeah, it's something that I'm interested in, but I have my reservations as well. I know that, I was just talking to Chuck about this, with
Chuck Poland?
With the Chondro Lounge.
Oh, okay.
And he was telling me keep them, off a substrate, and it's kind of a more of a sterile environment. And I was talking with Ish Quinones, and he was telling me about when he kept them, that one of them, ate a piece of substrate and died, and the other one died. And, so it's intimidating, because you hear all the horror stories of the people that, they spend money on them and then they roll over and die.
I want to say, for me, the number one killer of chondros has been heat. So, well, the piece is trying to come out. I
was going to ask you if you locked her door.
What are you doing? You come out?
That's funny.
Heat has been the number one killer of chondros for me. I've screwed up with thermostats. I've screwed up. So I do need to do it again.
So if you do it again, how do you think you're going to do it?
With less heat.
Yeah.
For sure. Alexa, turn on reptile room.
Okay.
Alexa, turn on basement.
Okay.
Yeah, I will do it again. I specifically want to do some sarongs. I think would be awesome if I was going to do it. I would do sarongs. I'm not a big Biak fan. It's just not my thing.
Why not?
I don't like I have black and yellow snakes. I have a lot of black and yellow snakes. Yellow is everywhere in my house. I don't need it in my condos. I like the blue kind of splash marks that, it almost looks like watercolor.
Yeah.
That you get with, some of those northern type chondros. And I want to make that. So that is definitely on the eventually list. I had some strongs in the past that I loved, and I'm going to do that again at some point for sure. I do have room for those. That's the thing with those smaller snakes, is you can find room for those,
Yeah.
I can always find a spot for a 2x2. It's stuff like this girl that I struggle with.
Yeah, that's like me with the spotted pythons. I'm like, boy, I can fit quite a few 3x2 by 1.5 foot cages, and they'll have plenty of space in there.
Yeah.
Boy, she looks like she's almost totally solid yellow.
She's a purple golden child.
So, there's the purple. I see it. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, and as you can see, I mean, she's the sweetest snake ever. I really love retics.
Yeah.
I really, really, really do. I wish I could, I wish it made sense to have more of them. But honestly, I think me just having one as a pet's even more fulfilling and rewarding than it would be to have a bunch. So,
how big do you think she's going to get?
Probably 15 feet, maybe 14 feet, something like that. She's got a little bit of Calato in her. She's 25% Calato, 6% Jamp, which means absolute dick. I mean, it means absolutely nothing really. But golden childs in general are known to be a little on the smaller side anyways. And I mean, she's almost 3 years old, and she's only like 7 feet now. So, not huge. She eats 2-pound rabbits.
Wow.
So it's not like I starve her or anything.
Yeah, that must put a lump in her, huh?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, she's not that thick. She looks like she's probably about as thick as my my Argentine.
Yeah. She'll take bunnies though. I already got her on rabbits. I'm not trying to grow her slow. I'm really not. I mean, I didn't build this giant ass enclosure to keep her tiny. You know what I mean? Like, I'm feeding her. But yeah, she's staying a little bit on the smaller side, which I'm cool with.
Yeah. How often does she get a rabbit?
Like once a month.
Okay.
Yeah, not a lot. I'm gonna feed her probably tonight. Actually, I need to start thawing one out. She's ready. She just shed.
Nice. Yeah,
This is what it's about, man.
Yeah, she reminds me a lot of my Argentine, because my Argentine will do that same thing. She'll come over to where I open the cage and start nosing around and looking, and if I open it up, she just comes right out onto me, and that's like my favorite thing, is when you have like that super chill snake that you could, you know, let your kids hold and hang out with and everything.
Yeah, and for me, it's important because with it being a walk-in enclosure, you know, I don't want her to start trying to bite at me whenever I open the door, you know. So just she's perfect. She's everything I want out of a pet, and it will be fun to see her hit her full growth potential.
Hell yeah. Oh yeah. If I ever move out of Florida, it's going to be a mainland retic. I want to get like the biggest possible retic.
I don't know about that. I don't want to. Luckily, I have my son, you know, and yeah, right now he's only 7, but he's still starting to be pretty confident. And, you know, by the time I need help with her, he'll be old enough to help me.
Yeah.
So, you know, but I don't want a monster. If she's 20 feet, I'll be bummed.
Yeah.
At some point, it becomes too much work and too difficult, you know, for me personally. And I just want to ride that line perfectly and not go over it.
Yeah. I don't see myself ever leaving Florida. So that's just what I tell myself. But if we do leave Florida, I'm going to get a house with an extra room for a retic.
Okay. There you go. I mean, they're, in my opinion, the smartest, probably most interactive, just most with it species of python. Don't get me wrong, you know, the scrubs are cool too, but it's just with the scrubs, it's a different thing. You know, both of those species really have a lot going on behind the eyes, but retics are just built different. I don't know how to explain it. They are, you know, and I don't know how much longer we're going to be able to keep these in the United States. Who knows what the laws are going to be, you know, in the future, and kind of who knows what's to come of retic keeping in the hobby. So, you know, I needed to do this while I could.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I hope they don't put an end to that. They're too important of a snake to have around.
Yeah, they're definitely trying.
Yeah.
They're definitely trying. Man, it's gotta suck to live in Florida. I bet it's cool, but it's gotta suck at the same time. Like, you know, you guys have really been put through the ringer.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you mentioned Nile monitors. I'm almost positive they're on the restricted list here. You can't have them.
Yeah.
And berms. I mean, berms are, you look at some of these berms on Morph Market and they are just insane looking. I mean, you know, a normal berm is incredible looking, but then you see the hypos and the, you know, the pieds and all different kinds of berms out there that are just really neat looking.
I love the hypo. I think the hypos are really, really pretty looking, the Burmese python. And I like berms too. I have no hate for berms at all. You know, I think, you know, but it was always going to be between a berm or a retic. And, you know, like I've said, she was a gift. So, you know, she just kind of happened to me, but at the perfect time.
Yeah. If you do get into chondros, have you thought about keeping them outside?
Fuck no.
No?
No, I've already killed too many. I don't need to kill anymore. We're good. I have been through that pain. No.
I don't know. After talking to Ron, I mean, he says that they're just thriving and super easy to keep outside.
Okay. I mean, I
Yeah.
believe him. He's got it set up. You know, I've seen what he does with his emeralds, and it's cool. I mean, it's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, respect for what he's trying to do and how he's doing it. And yeah, I can't wait to see, you know, a couple years to come, what kind of success he has.
Yeah. 76 emeralds.
That's
It's
a lot.
crazy. It's crazy. I think I can't, I wish I could remember how many chondros he's got. I think he said in the teens. So, and they're all outdoors too. And I think they're cohabbed. I think he's got 2 per enclosure.
Okay. Yeah, if I had, you know, I would need a lot of space and to not have a day job,
Yeah.
you know, and an investor. I would need an investor. I would need space and no day job. That's what I would need.
Yeah. You and me both. I mean, I kind of have the space, but I don't know. Keeping, again, it comes back to keeping expensive snakes outside too, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That is sketchy.
Yeah, you gotta, if you're gonna do it though, you know, you don't.
Yeah.
The best thing that I found when it comes to the way that I keep my snakes and just me in general is like, forget about the money. Once it's spent, it's spent. This is no longer money. It is now an animal, you know. And if you make more of them, that's cool. But you know, the money's gone the second you spend it. It's all the same. Doesn't matter. You know?
Yeah, I've got 3 Timors. I hear you. Yeah, chondros would be a big investment. That would be a big investment for sure, and just making sure that they're set up right. And yeah,
I'm so in love with the emeralds right now that it'll be a minute before I branch into chondros. You know, and you know, I've already mentioned I don't have any boys yet, so I kind of have to step by step this process that I'm trying to go through, and I'm trying to do it intelligently. I did look at some chondros at the Pomona show and really thought about it, but no, one project at a time to completion. You know, I got to finish that group. So hopefully the diamond pythons will hatch, and hopefully I'll have some good success getting them established. And, you know, the rest of the stuff that I've got inlands right now that we're doing. I've got, you know, jungles, Amazon true boas will be born any day now. And then we've got the diamonds. So between that batch of babies, I should be able to get 1 basin.
Hell yeah.
Right.
Just reinvest it into 1 snake.
2. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the plan.
Man.
That's the plan. That's the best part about this, is actually having a job and not needing to make any money, and allowing each year's clutches to roll over into what you're trying to do and reinvesting every cent of it into the next year. You know, because I have so much cool shit. I really do. Like, I think my collection is really freaking awesome.
It is.
And it has taken me a really long time to do it. And I've used very little of my own money to do it. Every year I have a certain amount of babies, a certain amount of dollars, and all of those dollars just gets reinvested. And if you do that for 20 years, eventually your collection's pretty cool.
Hell yeah. How many inlands do you have?
Babies, 11.
Okay.
I just have a pair of adults.
Just a pair?
Yeah. Technically, the male belongs to Nick. It was a breeding loan situation.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're another one that I really like.
Oh, the inlands are cool, man. The inlands are really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mine are the Mog line, and they're freaking dope. I mean, that's just a great. That's another one that you could do outside if you wanted to. That'll deal with a really wide temperature range, and you know, are just kind of underrepresented in the hobby. There's not really enough of them around. There's some, but there's not enough. And yeah, I highly recommend, if you're a carpet python aficionado, get some inlands.
Yeah, carpet pythons they're a tough one. You get one and then you want more, and you see it on all the forums that, you see so many people that get into it and they get one and then they want another and then they want all the different types.
It's so addictive.
Yeah, it really is.
Well, they're
It's
the perfect pet snake, man. They're manageable. They're interesting, which is, I think, what they have over the ball pythons, because I am not interested in looking at the ball pythons. The only thing interesting about ball pythons to me is when you get more that are different colors and what you can do with the morphs. And, you can play the mad scientist with ball pythons all day, and that's neat. But the snake itself, I find very uninteresting. And
Yeah.
carpet pythons, I find very interesting. I like being able to come home and walk in the reptile room or wake up in the morning and go in the reptile room and see snakes draped across branches. That's my favorite thing. It's what I like to see. That's what keeps me going. Everything looks cooler on a branch, and that's really driven kind of where I've taken my collection.
What kind of ball pythons does your son have?
So he has a pair that MJ from Trap Talk gave him for his birthday. So
nice.
There was we were at a reptile show, and my son looked at MJ's table and found a blue-eyed Lucy and just absolutely fell in love with the blue-eyed Lucy. And MJ said, well, you can't have that one, but tell you what, I'll make you one. And then a year later, MJ gave him one for his birthday.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and then there was a Inchy. So that one, it's a bell that is Poshet Clown Poshet DG. And then I got the male that I purchased the male to go with that Lucy, and that is a Mojave Inchy Poshet Clown Poshet DG. So my son might actually end up making some pretty cool ball pythons.
Hell yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, we have a spot nose clown, but she's just a pet, but she never comes out, she's she's always in her hide, and it's like if I go long enough between feedings, I'll see her cruising at night, but otherwise she seems to enjoy just not being out.
Yeah, I forget they exist until it's time to change their water or feed them.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. I mean, look, they're a great fur snake. They're excellent for kids. They're excellent for people who are a little more timid and just want a snake that they can sit and hold and watch TV with and interact with and boop the freaking snoot. You know what I mean? Like ball pythons have driven so many people into this industry. And I think that they are for anyone who gets interested in other stuff, they're a stepping stone species. Like that's the one that hooks you into reptiles, and then you go from there.
Yeah.
And, I think that they play a very important role. They fund a lot of what we do. I don't think reptile shows would be anywhere near as successful, without bringing the foot traffic the ball pythons bring in. And, people are coming to show to see ball pythons, and then that's when they're getting introduced to a lot of these other species. But for anyone who might get a little bored with a ball python and want something with a little more spunk, that's a little more fun, and they're ready to do something that's just a little more interesting, that's where carpet pythons come into play.
Yeah, for sure. I agree 100%. Imagine going to a reptile show that doesn't have ball pythons. Yeah. What I meant was
I'm sleeping, but yeah.
what I meant was how many tables would be there though? It would be almost nothing. There's so many there when you go in.
Yeah. No, that's I poke fun, but the entire industry changed when the first albino and pied and Mojave and pastel, like when those ball pythons became available, it changed everything quickly.
Yeah.
And because when I bought a ball python, there wasn't any of that shit. They were just ball pythons. No morphs existed yet, at least not to the common public that anyone knew about. You know, pastel wasn't a thing. It was just the pretty looking snake in the group of the other snakes that looked a little different. Didn't have a name yet, you know. And that was a different thing. It's one thing to buy a ball python because you want a cool snake that's a ball python, and you know, I don't know. I just the whole morph thing, watching the morphed game from ball pythons transition into like carpet pythons, for instance, you can't have the same mentality when you're working with carpets that you do ball. It doesn't work the same. They don't breed the same. It's not the same. And I saw so many people branch over to carpet pythons from the ball python thing. And it was good and bad. It was good because now there's people interested in carpet pythons. It was bad because people were interested in carpet pythons for the wrong reasons, which led to all of the crossing of the subspecies. You know, like, yeah, I did it when I was 19 and stupid because I wanted to make carpet pythons. Like, that's one thing. But now you had people intentionally crossing all the different subspecies in mass to create the morph combos, which, you know, made it really difficult to find pure stuff and made maintaining pure carpet pythons that much more important because so many people weren't doing that. So it had ball pythons both had a positive effect on the hobby, but you know, in certain niche markets like carpet pythons, there was also a dramatic negative effect that probably shouldn't be ignored. I don't know.
Yeah. Just out of curiosity, how many chondros have you killed?
4 adults and 1 baby.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were they wild caught or captive bred? I mean, I'm assuming the baby was captive, right?
Well, the baby I hatched. No, wait, more than that. 5. So got a Biak from a reptile store that I worked at. It was a fresh import. It died. That was parasitic. You know, those were, you know, that was that problem there. Then got another Biak to replace it. Ended up getting a Sarong from Tom Crutchfield. Was going to breed the Biak to the Sarong. And at that point in time, I didn't have any thermostats yet on any of my enclosures. And I wasn't using heat panels yet. I was keeping bulbs. So I just had a, you know, heat bulb with no thermostat. Which worked fine until it didn't, because what happened was it was summertime and my air conditioner broke at my house while I was at work. And I came home and that reptile room was like 120 degrees. So that was the end of them. Those are the only 2 snakes that did not survive. The rest of the room survived. All of the rats died and the parachondras died.
Shit.
So that happened. And then I had another heating malfunction incident where I just had a cage set up stupid and it got overheated due to a probe issue, which knocked that one off. And then that was a female. That surviving male that I had to pair her with, I ended up giving to a friend on a breeding loan. We produced a clutch of eggs. The clutch came to my house. I hatched the eggs, and we had 6 babies that had hatched out of the clutch. I let my buddy, I didn't really care. I wanted one for me, but my buddy was in a little bit of a rougher time financially, so I let him keep the other 5. I just wanted the one. And I had fed it a pinky. It was fine. Fed it a pinky, it was fine. But at like 4 or 5 pinkies, good to go. Decided it was time to up it to a fuzzy because I'm used to breeding freaking carpet pythons, and I didn't think it was going to be a big deal. And it died with a fuzzy halfway down its throat.
Oh, that's all it took.
Yep. And I haven't purchased another green tree python since.
So. Oh man. See, yeah, it's these are the stories that make me not want to get them.
Well, you know, I made a bunch of mistakes, dude.
Yeah, but that,
I mean,
too. Yeah, I know. That's what scares me. I know. Thank God for the temperature sensors and push notifications and all that stuff. I mean, that helps now.
Oh yeah. There's nothing that terrifies me more than walking into reptile collections where you'll have people running a whole bunch of heat sources on one probe. Guys, don't do that. No.
Yeah.
Just trust me. No. Yeah, they're alive still. I get it. Stop it. Go buy more thermostats.
I don't even I need to get more thermostats for my like, if I have anything on like a heat pad or heat tape, I use a thermostat. Everything else I just have set up on literally just a fixture that's on a dimmer. So it keeps it at like 86, 88 degrees max peak.
Yeah, stop that. Go buy thermostats.
I know. But the probes scare me. That's why I keep asking everybody I get on, I'm like, how do you secure your probe? How do you make sure nothing gets on it? And it sounds like what you're doing is you're putting it on the back of the enclosure, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Directly under the panel.
Okay. And I don't use panels either. I use Arcadia DP projectors.
See, those are run a little different. I have those. But I have them only in my retic enclosure, which I'm not going to overheat. It's big. I mean, if she gets hot, she can just go crawl on the floor. The floor's concrete. It's going to stay cold. Yeah. But those are also ran on congratulations. We're going to talk about the one time that I'm going against everything that I just said right now. In the retic cage, I have a 120 watt heat panel that is on top of like a shelf where the waterfall is. And then I have two of the heat projectors that are over the perch for basking. And those heat projectors are ran off of the same probe that the heat panel is. So that whole kind of half of the enclosure, that's off the one heat panel. But those are 3 heat sources next to each other in the same enclosure. So, I want that to all kind of be heating simultaneously. So it is on purpose and by design.
Okay. Yeah. I'm going to have to get some herp stats. I can't. It's probably, I don't know. I go back and forth. I go back and forth between having things on timers, where they come on and just kind of heat it for a little bit during the day and then turn back off, or,
Well, you mean Herpstat has that function too, if you want to go that route.
Yeah.
That's the dude. Herpstats are the shit. Do you have any?
No, not yet.
Okay. Yeah. 100%. Love my Herpstats. 100% hate the Vivarium Electronics thermostat. I despise it. No, that's not the one. Spend the money and get the Herpstat. It's worth it. It's worth it. It's worth it. It's worth it. I have a lot of them. I don't know how many of them I have. I have a lot of them, and I have 6s, I have 4s, I have 2s, I have 1s, I have the basic, I have the red line, I got the normal, literally all of them. And it is worth it. I used to do the VEs, and I had a lot of problems with the VE thermostats. Okay. And I had a lot of issues with the way that it's connected. They kind of connect it using sort of a weird plug that can break, and it gets unconnected really easily. And their probe, I don't think is as waterproof or solid as the Herpstat ones are, because there's Herpstat probes you can have in water, and you can go ahead and put them in water and they're fine. If you want to heat that way. And I don't know, I like all the different settings. I like the way that they ramp. I like the different, you can do proportional, you can do pulse, you can do heating, you can do cooling, you can do lighting. And the new ones have multiple temp functions to where you can set it for 4 different temp ranges instead of 2. So you can have a first thing in the morning temperature, a noon temperature, an afternoon temperature, and a night temperature, all different. So instead of being stuck on just a night temp and a day temp, you can now do 4 different temp settings with the newer Herpstats. And that's cool. Awesome. I haven't tried that myself yet. As soon as we get done with this podcast, I'm unboxing a Herpstat 4 that's got that feature. So I'll be setting that one up for the first time today. But yeah, no, I can't tell you enough how, and you know, it's worth the money.
What's the difference between pulse and ramping?
So you've got pulse and proportional.
Okay, yeah.
And the pulse is an on-off style thermostat. So any of the inexpensive thermostats that you'll find have the on-off to where it'll heat to 85 and then it turns off and then it'll cool down. You can set a temp range between when it'll be on and off on the herp stats, and the other ones you don't. They're naturally, the cheap thermostats are naturally going to have like a 5-degree temp range to where it'll turn on until it's 85 and then turn off until it's 80 and then turn off and turn on until it's 85. And like any of the $40, $60 thermostats that you're going to buy, that's usually kind of how those work. Where the proportional will change the electrical output. It's like a dimming setting like you're talking about. So it'll ramp up to 100% power, you know, while it's heating up. And then once it's there, it'll go down to 50% power, 40% power, 10% power, and it'll naturally dim itself to keep it at that exact temperature, which is definitely a much more accurate way to do heat panels. I don't know if it works that well with that setting. You really can't use that with lights.
Mm.
You see what I mean? Like,
I wonder if you could use it with the deep heat projector.
I mean, I am. It seems to be working great with the deep heat projector because that's how I have it set up right now in the retic enclosure.
All right. I'm gonna have to look into that. How long are the probe wires?
You can get long ones if you want. I think they come standard at like 10 feet, but they do sell like, I don't know if they're like 18 feet or 20 feet or something like that.
Oh,
you can buy extended length ones if you need them.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, so I could get a 6 and do like this whole area here then.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's probably better, especially if I mount it on the back wall. I think that's probably going to be the way to go. Just drill a hole and secure it.
Well, in the Herbstat 6s, dude, I mean, they're I think it's $520 for a Herbstat 6. So you're getting 6 probes for less than $100 a probe, to where you can buy a cheap thermostat that sucks for $40 or $60.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're not really saving that much money getting a cheap one, where, you know, a Herbstat 1, that's going to run you like $140, you know. But if you're getting a Herbstat 6, then, you know, your probe to dollar value is like $80 each instead. So it just makes so much more sense to just do the 6s. Yeah,
for sure. Where do you get your supplies from? Where do you order Herbstats from?
Herbstat I get from Spider Robotics, just their website directly from the source. You can just buy them directly from them. No point to do any middleman stuff. Any of the other supplies that I buy is either through Reptile Basics, you know, Vivarium Electronics, Reptile Basics. They have a lot of really good, just normal supplies, whatever you might need, shipping supplies, things like that. I live right next to Triple L Reptile, so I do buy a lot of stuff from Triple L supplies wise, which their website's cool. They sell a bunch of stuff, and it really just depends on what I need and why. You know, all my bedding again comes from the Hydro store. I buy as much stuff from Home Depot as I do anything else.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So,
what? Have you had any any issues with predators with your diamonds outside? Anything going around the cages?
Nah, I'm Dobermans, dude. They're nothing's coming in my backyard.
Nice.
Yeah. No, the dogs are a problem. My male really likes teasing the diamond pythons, like for fun. So Royce, the one that was down here a second ago, he likes to tease the diamond pythons. I have to get him to stop barking at him all the time. And he tried to dig under the cage the other day. So he put a hole, like tried to tunnel under the diamond cage to try to get to him. So that's
Jeez.
annoying. I had to fill that in, but that's just part of having dogs.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, we have coyotes out here. We have mountain lions out here, raccoons, things like that. But none of that's coming in my yard.
That's cool. Any have you noticed any like ticks or anything? Have they gotten any kind of parasites on them from being outside?
There's one time they got mites randomly.
Outside?
I know. Yeah, it's the only time it's happened. And I treated them all. They went away. It was short-lived. You get really good at dealing with mites eventually. It's just something that everyone is going to encounter a mite problem when you have enough animals. But yeah, they did end up. I had a mite outbreak a couple of years ago out there. Couldn't tell you where they came from. They haven't been back since, so I don't know how that happened. But was able to get those knocked out pretty quickly and efficiently, and they haven't been back since. Haven't had any issues with ticks.
Can you walk me through how you treated them for mites outside?
Yeah, so I didn't. I treated them inside.
Okay.
And what I do is, I already told you I have ABS enclosures in here for them as needed. So first thing I do is I soak them overnight in a rack with Dawn dish soap. Water covering the majority of the snake. Overnight. Dawn dish soap that will kill pretty much any mite that's on there, and then after that you got to deal with the eggs. So a lot of people will recommend keeping on paper when you're dealing with a mite problem. I'm not that way. I like to preventimite my coconut husk as I install it. So like every time I do a bedding change, I preventimite everything all of the time because mites just aren't allowed in this house. So I will do the soaking in the Dawn dish soap and then fresh bedding with preventimite. And then I soak every couple of days in the Dawn dish soap with the preventimited bedding. And then you're good to go after that. No problem. Everyone says it takes months to eradicate mites. I fully call bullshit. I can do it in 2 weeks with great success. So it doesn't take months. People are tripping.
How long did you have to treat anything on their outdoor enclosure with preventimite, or did you just keep them inside for a while and once they were good to go back out, everything was fine?
You know what I did? So I don't know if this helped or anything, but when they came inside, I went and got bug spray for your yard that just is supposed to like kill insects and stuff like in the grass and, get rid of ants and stuff like that. You can do like pest control spray. And I just sprayed the entire yard with, whatever the Home Depot bottle was that you hook up to a hose and just spray everywhere. I did that.
Nice.
I just did that. I did the whole house, the whole perimeter, front yard, backyard. I just went on a giant insect killing spree, and it worked great.
And you did their cage too with that?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, everything. But they were inside for a couple of weeks, so I wasn't worried about it. I don't think I would do that and immediately put them back outside. I don't know if that would be a problem. But I want to say they were inside no longer than 2 weeks. It was about 2 weeks when I did that.
So just that's crazy. Like that would be like the opposite of what I would think to do. I'd think like, I don't want these guys coming into my collection, but it makes sense. I mean, how are you going to treat it outside?
Oh, well, I treated the whole room.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, when I brought them inside in the rack, but it was a rack by themselves. I didn't have anything else in there. And then when you're treating for mites and you have a large reptile collection, I'm sorry, you're fucked. You have to treat everything at the same time. And even if you have multiple rooms, it doesn't matter. You have to throw away all of the bedding that exists in all of your rooms. You have to clean all of your cages, really well. I forgot this. I clean my cage. So I get rid of the bedding, and then, the Reptile relief spray, like the night spray. That's just that you can buy at Petco or whatever. Okay. I think it's generally garbage. However, you can use it for a cage cleaner, which does well. So get rid of all the bedding, spray down the inside of all of the cages with the mite spray, get that all nice and wiped out, prevenamite the bedding, put all of the bedding back that's treated, and then you to get the actual mites off the snakes, then you soak with Dawn.
Right on.
Be careful not to kill your snakes with prevenamite. You can if you don't follow the directions. Do not put them back in the enclosure right away with fresh preventamited bedding. Don't put water in there overnight. All of the water bowls need to be cleaned and left empty overnight while the prevenamite settles and does its thing. I will usually reintroduce animals to the enclosure about 5-6 hours after I've preventamited, but I don't put water in until the next day.
Okay. All right. So basically it's got to be dry as a bone then.
Yeah. You don't want it to be aerosolized at all. Or you do risk your snakes.
Yeah, I used it in my room when I was getting some cages ready, and I noticed my air purifier went like haywire. It was not liking that stuff being in the air. Like it made the air not breathable. So yeah, I should imagine it would be pretty bad for the snakes.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, I treat all my bedding with it. So yeah. It's just it becomes part of your routine. And it's worth doing, like I haven't had an inside mite breakout in a very, very long time because I'm so anal about it. I've also should probably buy stock in prevenamite. But
where do you get your prevenamite from?
Triple L.
Yeah.
Triple L's got it. Reptile Basics. You can buy it from there too. Just order it online.
Cool. All right, man. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to sit down and talk with me about all this stuff. We learned a lot.
Cool, man. Well, I appreciate you reaching out and letting me come on a pod. I wanted a pod. I had pod fever. I was ready.
Oh yeah. Got it out of your system now.
Yeah, exactly. Then the rest of the day is going to be cool, man. I just got a whole bunch of perches in from my buddy Chris Sexton, Heli Guy Serpents. 3D printed me a whole bunch of cool stuff. So I got to set up this herpstat, move some things around, and I have a new emerald tree boa that I got from Chris Rice, and she's in a tub right now, but I'm going to be getting her enclosure ready to rock and roll with all of her perches, and I need to put a drain in it and hook up the misting system and kind of do everything I do to house those guys and get them set up. So that's what I'm doing today.
Right on. All right, man. Thank you.
All right, man. Appreciate you. Take it easy.
You too.